Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's a little bit early. I know we normally do this Wednesday evenings, but I want to get you the storm update for some of the storms that we have rolling through the region right now. We want to talk about where those are, where we go from here. And we also want to set you up for success for your weekend because we're all thinking about that during the summertime. Well, any time of the year, let's just be honest. But lots to talk about here in this kind of early edition. It'll still be on there for you late bloomers, but the early edition of Region Weather Live. And welcome in, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. We've made it halfway through the work week. We're almost there. We're actually over halfway done if you're Monday through Friday here. We're getting there soon. And I'll tell you, the storms today have been pretty potent across portions of the area. A lot of us just seeing a good old-fashioned downpour right now, so we're going to talk about that. First, want to thank our sponsors, Griegers, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. So excited to say that they are just out and about in the community this summer. I've seen all sorts of pictures on their Facebook page at events that they've been at, handing out water, taking care of people. Pay them a visit if you need a new Jeep, but if you don't, at least go to their Facebook page and give them a good like because they do so much wonderful work for the community, and they certainly are out and about doing that this summer. Also want to thank Tiger Plumbing, our amazing plumbing company here in Northwest Indiana. They've been around for over 40 years, and they come out for free. They analyze the problem. We've had a lot of happy region weather followers that have gone with Tiger Plumbing. So tigerplumbing.net is the place to go. All right, let's get to the radar, shall we? I want to start with satellite. This shows the massive growth of these cumulonimbus clouds that we've had. I've had a lot of pictures coming in to our Facebook feed, our private messages over some of these towering cumulonimbus clouds. They're going up some 47 to 50,000 feet in the atmosphere. You can see the shadow of them. If you look on the southern edge of this here, if you're looking north out of Newton and Jasper County right now into these storms, you can see how far up they tower. We've got, obviously just an amazing storm structure with these. If you're outside of them, if you're in them, you're dealing with the rain. And we certainly have seen some pretty decent thunderstorms. It doesn't look like a lot on radar here, but you get underneath these, and we've had not just some really heavy rain, in fact, 1 to 2 inch per hour rainfall rates. We've had some hail, we've had some strong winds, and even a couple sightings of kind of a wall cloud-like structure as the storm was near the Gary area. Nothing to be worried about with that. The atmosphere today isn't structured to support rotating thunderstorms. We're not in a supercell kind of setup today, so I'm not worried about that. We did have a little bit of rotation with this, but storms rotate all the time. If you've been with me long enough, we talk about that. That's not a unique thing to thunderstorms. The wind tends to change with height as you go up in the atmosphere, and that's certainly what we've seen at times today, but it's nothing to produce a strong tornado or anything like that. So what are we dealing with? Well, we're dealing with subsevere storms. These are just your general run-of-the-mill thunderstorms. The one we had earlier that we posted on with that severe thunderstorm warning, that was a decent storm. We had 50 to 60 mile per hour winds out over the lake with that. Whiting got hit pretty hard. That came inland. Portage, Chesterton got hit pretty hard with that. One thing you've noticed, there's not a lot of lightning with these either. Lightning is usually indicative of how much energy is going on up inside the thunderstorm when you have strong updrafts and downdrafts. We haven't seen a lot of lightning. So again, these are sub-severe storms, but they're putting out some heavy rain. We've seen some small hail within this as well. There's been a couple hail cores I've been watching, and you may have some gusty winds. We've seen that from time to time as well. So right now, the storms, we did have a lightning strike in the last 5 minutes for what it's worth near La Crosse. Wanata, you're about clear right now. Valparaiso, you're still dealing with a little bit of light rain as this kind of back edge of this thunderstorm kind of heads over you. That should be done shortly. Down towards Couts, Hebron, you're dealing with heavy rain right now. This is all going towards the Wheatfield, the North Judson area as well. Knox, you're about to get some heavier rain. Most of Lake County can be cleared out now. Crown Point, you're about done with the rain. Cedar Lake, still seeing a little bit of light rain in there. All this heading down towards the south. So DeMont, you're going to get some rain here shortly down towards Wheatfield. Do I see anything severe from here on out? Not really. If there were to be a severe storm, it would be that section near La Crosse right now that's about to head into Stark County. So if you're in Stark County, North Judson, Knox, even towards Bass Lake and St. Pierre, you may have some gustier winds with this. That's the strongest part of the storm. Right in here, you can see that little notch there. But overall, I'm not expecting anything in terms of big widespread severe weather the rest of the evening. And if you're in Lake Newton and Jasper counties, northern half of the county, if you've already had your storm, you're going to be fine the rest of the evening. We've got cooler, more stable air that's moved in. There's an outflow boundary that's settled down to the south as well. So we're sitting pretty in those counties for the rest of the evening. And the other thing you're going to notice over the next 24 hours is this is all along a cold front, so that humidity is going to start to slide back. It's going to feel a little bit better tomorrow morning. It's going to feel much better by tomorrow evening as that dew point continues to slide back even into the 50s, and that will set us up for success this weekend, okay? So let's take you through what happens from here. I'll show you a little bit of the modeling here. The models have a really good handle on this cluster of storms. That looks almost identical to what moved through. Notice how that sinks down to the south. We clear up this evening. Kind of a messy radar presentation. We tend to get that this time of year. There's so much moisture in place across the eastern half of the country. You can literally wring out the atmosphere. You put a towel up in there and you can wring it out. And that causes all sorts of activity on radar. There's no clear-cut cold front with a line of storms that you get in the spring or the summer. It really is just kind of widespread rain. And that's why oftentimes this time of year we'll lean towards percentages. I'm not a big fan of giving a percent in terms of the forecast. I don't like saying 40% chance of rain. You probably just want to know if it's going to rain or not. But this time of year, you kind of have to do that. And it's usually based on coverage. So you can see the rain all over the map right now. But tomorrow, what's going to happen is I think we go dry tonight, but then tomorrow we're going to have another secondary front that moves through here. This is the front that's going to change our wind direction and really bring in a true dry air mass as we go on into Thursday and Friday. And you can see that front may trigger a couple showers here. There it is. This is really late tomorrow. It may trigger a couple showers as it moves through. But again, I don't think the moisture is going to be very widespread. If you joined me Sunday night for our Region Weather Live, we were kind of looking at this and saying, there's not a really clear-cut area of moisture with this. And so our chance of rain was pretty low, especially tomorrow as this frontal boundary goes through with not a lot of moisture. Maybe a couple showers out of that. No severe weather expected out of that. Once that moves through, we bring in much more comfortable air for the weekend. And boy, does it look great this weekend. We're talking upper 70s, low 80s Friday into Saturday. And then Sunday, we'll start to build the heat back. There's a warm front that will come through Sunday night into Monday. That may trigger a storm or two. We'll keep our eye on that. But on the heels of that, that's going to be kind of pushing off some really, really hot air that we've seen prevalent across Texas and Oklahoma this summer. That heat has spread out towards the west. So Seattle's hot. Areas up and down California are just scorching hot this week. That's all going to shift east. And so here we go through time. This is the last thing I want to show you, then be happy to answer your questions, whatever you happen to be. So you can get them in the feed now. But if you look at this is a jet stream. These are the heights in the atmosphere. Basically, how hot is it? Where is the ridging? Where's the troughing? And we've got a nice trough coming in this weekend. This is going to cool us down and bring in more comfortable air. Notice all the heat out towards the west. That's where that big ridge is. This is Friday into Saturday. Notice how it starts to build back, but not a whole lot. There's a secondary front that'll kind of come through here on Sunday and keep that heat at bay. But then it just lets loose next week. So Monday into Tuesday, you'll start to notice this ridge starts to head east. We've got a frontal boundary out towards the northern plains, which is good for them. That will kind of squash the heat for a little bit. But the problem for us, it pushes it eastward. So if you like the heat, we're going to get back into it. And look at this ridge, how it establishes. This is August 3rd, Wednesday. We start to get some ridging in here, nice southwest wind. Could be approaching 90 degrees. I think we'll be well into the 90s as we get into Thursday, maybe even Friday as well, depending on what model you like. But look at this ridge, how this really develops, and it takes hold of the eastern half of the country. This is next Monday. This is Monday, August 8th. So not next Monday, the following Monday. All indication is that we turn hot for the month of August, as you'd expect sometime this summer, but this could be a little bit more long lasting than what we've seen. So a little brief area of heat next week. It may back off a little bit next weekend, depends on what model you like. But then after that, it does look like that heat really builds in. So when we talk heat, we're talking humidity as well. We're also talking temps probably in the 90s, if not well in the 90s some of those days. So that's what we have to look forward to, is that heat building back. Again, to summarize for tonight, severe threats pretty low from here on out. Our northern tier counties, Lake Porter, LaPorte counties, are going to clear on out. We've got the rain across the central and southern half of those counties. That will continue to push south. I really don't see a severe weather threat with this. We may spark a severe storm in the Stark County area out of this one. That's the strongest storm I see. But if it doesn't go severe, you just have a good old healthy thunderstorm, and then we're done with that, okay? All right. Seeing lots of comments about how nice it is behind the storms. Yeah. And a lot of you reporting rain. as it moved in. A lot of happy gardens out there for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Pierogi Fest is going on. That was one of my first live shots. Was for the Pierogi Fest. I loved Pierogi Fest. That kicks off. Mark asking if it's going to be dry on Friday night. Yeah, it looks good, Mark. The whole weekend looks great. It really does. With lower humidity, we'll have a nice breeze as well. Things setting up for success for all those area events this weekend for sure. Jill says August heat warms the lake and makes a perfect temp for swimming. Absolutely, Jill. Yeah, that water temperature has been right near average. It's interesting. You look up towards Lake Superior. Lake Superior's water temperature is anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees below average. That's a lot for a lake temp. So, if you have friends, family, Duluth, North Woods of Wisconsin, they head over to Lake Michigan. Perhaps, you head up to, Southern Canada. I don't know who does that, but it's nice up there. But Lake Superior is running very, very chilly for this time of year. So a lot of cold swimming up there. But for us, yeah, the sunshine and the heat and the warm nights really help our lake temperatures go up for those colder nights that we have in September for sure. Yeah, Kristen, I see your comment here. A little dark in Newton County right now. The rain's heading your way. Newton County, I don't think is going to see as much rain as Jasper County is out of this. It looks like the line's kind of falling apart as it pushes in from the west. You can kind of see it here. The bulk of this is heading into Stark County. So we've got this little trailing cell back here, but I don't think this is going to be a whole lot to write home about for you there, Kristen. Let's see. Jeff says, saw a post from Indiana Storm Chaser, said the August 3rd through the 9th, highs could be in the hundreds, 70-80% chance. I could see that, Jeff. I mean, I'm pushing well into the 90s for now. Some of the modeling does take us there. In fact, the Euro takes us there next week. On one of the days, it has like 99 to 100 degrees, which is kind of odd for the Euro to be calling it that early. But it certainly is possible. Could we get all those days in the hundreds? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be that hot for that long, but we could certainly top the triple digit mark, maybe a day or two, depending on how that ridge establishes. There's still a lot to be said for how it sets up. It's too early to call something like that because if that low pressure that's coming in, that's changing everything out west, if that comes a little bit further south, that would push our ridge a little bit further south, which would lower our temps by a degree or two. So basically, there's a lot of things that can still change, but the potential is there. We could be talking, upper 90s, maybe 100 degrees or so, a couple of those days. Mike says, during the big heat wave at the beginning of August, do you think we'll have any chances for big storms with the heat? Mike, there's always a big chance. Just because we're in the upper 90s, or let's say we hit 100 degrees, it doesn't always mean we get big storms out of it. The potential's high, even on 80-degree days. It's just as high. It's just, we're all talking instability. Instability is what causes those big storms. So there's not necessarily, not that you're saying this, but there's not a better chance because we're going to be 90s to near 100 degrees potentially, that we get big storms out of that. But anytime you have a dome of heat this time of year, there are always storms that ride along that. The storms like to go where that boundary is between the cooler air and the hot, humid air, right? So if it's 100-degree heat in a little dome of heat, and you get the cooler air around it, you have big storms wherever that periphery is. And that's probably the pattern we're going to settle into next week. It doesn't look like a clear-cut cold front. It looks like more of those clusters of showers and storms that we get accompanied to in the summer. So we certainly run the chance of that. And that would be, again, next week as we bring in that heat. Anytime you try to squash that heat down, it's got to come at a price somewhere. Jeff, you're welcome, buddy, for sure. Let me see if I miss any other. Mary's zinnias are doing great. They do. They like the sun too. Ours have been in the shade in our back area. We've got too many plants, and they're not blooming yet. And then the ones in the sun are going crazy. So that's interesting. Robin, yeah, the humidity helps our mold spores for sure. So anytime we get rain and we have the humidity and nothing really goes away, the mold spores tend to be out there. So I'm no expert on mold spores or allergies, but I can tell you trend-wise what plants like to do, and I can tell you what mold spores like to do, and we could certainly be dealing with that next week. The good news is, we'll have some sunshine out. That tends to zap a lot of it as well, dries up any damp areas you have. So we'll see what happens with that. But, the humidity is definitely going to be back next week. We're not saying goodbye to that. So moral of the story is enjoy the weekend, because the weekend is going to be very comfortable air, kind of sandwiched between this humid air that we've had and some some more serious heat as we get on into next week. All right. I think that's it. I see some other comments on here. Amanda's having a good bee season. The bees have been loving the rain and the flowers keep blooming for sure. Absolutely, Amanda. Amanda's our area bee expert. She's got a lot of bees on her property, controlled, of course. I mean, we all have bees on our property if you have plants, but thanks for checking in, Amanda, for sure. All right, I guess that's it, guys. So I appreciate you joining me today. Again, no severe threat out of these. If there is, it's very, very tiny. It's for Stark County. I'm not too concerned about it. May have some gusty winds. Once this line moves through, we should dry out for a little bit this evening. We talk lower humidity tomorrow with some stray showers as another front goes through. Weekend looks great. And the next week we talk some heat. Okay. That's your Reader's Digest version. We could have made this 30 seconds. Anyway, you guys have a great night. You're halfway through the week. We can make it. We're almost to the weekend. Stay strong, everybody. And appreciate you joining us here tonight.